With the season coming back in a few weeks, I thought it would be a nice little idea for me to talk about a few teams that have legit championship aspirations and how those aspirations can come into fruition. And in today's video, as you can guess by the title, I'm going to talk about the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets this season have been one of the more potent offenses in the NBA, just like they have been for the past couple of years, especially since 2016 where they've added Mike D'Antoni as the head coach. And now this year we are in another scenario where the Houston Rockets have an opportunity to win an NBA championship, but this time there is no Golden State Warriors dynasty waiting for them lurking in the shadows. With a more even playing field, it looks like teams are really trying to win a championship because we never know when this window is going to close, and I honestly think the Rockets have a legitimate shot at doing so. It all starts from their two best players being James Harden and Russell Westbrook. Let's start off with James Harden. James Harden is easily one of the greatest scorers that the NBA has had to offer, not just only throughout the last 20 years, but throughout its history, and honestly, he will go down as one of the most unstoppable players in the history of basketball. Over the last 3 years, not only has he received an MVP in 2018, but he has finished at least second, if not first, in all of the MVP races. And not only is he averaging 34 points per game and is leading the league in scoring, but he has done that now for the third consecutive season in which he has averaged at least 30 points per game. And even though he has had his fair share of slumps throughout this season, I chalk a lot of that up to him just being doubled and triple teamed, because it is crazy the defensive attention that he gets on a night-to-night basis, and that explains a lot of his inefficient slumps. But regardless, he is still playing at an elite level when it comes to that side of the ball this NBA season. But then we move on to his next co-star, Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook this year may have started off a little bit rough, but after he realized that he doesn't need to be taking threes and he has shooters all around him, he started playing the best basketball of his career. And that is no exaggeration. And I think that a lot of us give that credit to the removal of Clint Capella, and it is very true, because once Clint Capella left, Russell Westbrook was free to do whatever he wanted in the paint, and that he did, because in the 11 games post Clint Capella's trade, Russell Westbrook averaged 32 points, 6 assists, and 8 rebounds, as well as 2 steals, shooting just shy of 55% from the field, around 38% from behind the arc, but just shooting only 2.4 attempts. He cut down his 3-point attempts immensely, and he's also shooting around 73% from the free throw line. He has been incredible offensively, and he has had the best run of his entire career. Because when it comes to Russell Westbrook, I've always known that he can put up the numbers, it's just how efficient he can be. But this season, not only has he been efficient from the field, but his mid-range game has been amazing as well, as over the past couple of years he was a little bit inconsistent from there, shooting around the mid-30s at times, and considering the volume that he was taking them, it was just absurd how inefficient he was. But this year he has near career highs in the mid-range game, as he is shooting around 41 to 42% from 10 feet to the 3-point line. And though he may not be the perfect player, as he does turn the ball over 4 to 5 times a game, it doesn't negate the fact that he has made significant strides in areas that have been a huge problem for him in the past, and a lot of people think that this may be the key to unlocking Russell Westbrook's final form. Yeah, it's actually crazy I used that in a sentence in this video, but just bear with me here, because think about this. Russell Westbrook never had shooters like that in Oklahoma City. In Oklahoma City, yes, he did play with Kevin Durant and Paul George, but outside of those two, there really isn't that much to talk about when it comes to the 3-point shooting around Russell Westbrook. Meanwhile, in Houston, his teammates are guys that can knock down the 3-ball and do it at an efficient clip, such as guys like Ben McLemore, PJ Tucker, Daniel House, Robert Covington, Austin Rivers, and even James Harden, obviously. And what's insane about the shooters around him is that all the guys that I just mentioned are guys that are shooting at least 35% from 3 on 4 attempts a game. It is insane the shooting that is on this team. They have definitely tripled down on that philosophy this year by getting rid of Clint Capella. I know some people may be thinking that Clint Capella's loss was a big loss for them, as they lost that man in the middle that can defend the paint and also get boards, but I don't think people really understand that, for one, Clint Capella offensively was becoming a liability, especially playing with a guy like Russell Westbrook, who needs the paint to dominate, and let's just be honest, Clint Capella is no threat outside of under the basket, and considering that rebounding has never been that essential towards winning championships, it really is not that big of a deal that they got rid of Clint Capella, because you can get rebounding and defense from a lot of other players in the NBA, and you're willing to sacrifice that height if it's going to give you more of an advantage on the offensive side of the ball. The Rockets, since the Clint Capella trade, are 15th in defensive rating. They're not the best team on that side of the ball, but they are far from trash or mediocre. They're relatively decent. And without Clint Capella, sure, they don't have that big man in the middle, but now with the addition of Robert Covington, who is an elite perimeter defender and is also shooting very well from behind the arc at nearly 36% while attempting 8 of them a game, it doesn't seem like the loss of Clint Capella is going to massively impact this team in a negative way, as they only got a little bit worse defensively and they improved offensively by a mile. And another thing that people are not taking into account is the break that players have received due to the NBA going on hiatus from COVID-19. And in the case of their 2 stars, for starters Russell Westbrook, he has had a few postseason runs, especially over the past couple of years, where he has entered with some nagging injuries, so considering the break that he has gotten, that will be a huge plus for this team. And when it comes to James Harden, it is consistently said over and over, due to the offensive load that he has, he does fatigue in the playoffs, which I actually agree. To have the play style that he does have and to be so ball dominant where every single play runs through you, playing 82 games and then having to play 3 7-game series just to get to the finals, combined with a coach that doesn't use bench depth whatsoever, and we all know the playoffs lineups will shorten, but for the case of Mike D'Antoni, it's basically just going to shorten to a 6 to 7-man rotation, and considering all of those factors, it makes perfect sense why James Harden burns out the way that he does, or at least appears to be doing so. But now that the league has been on hiatus for a couple of months, I don't think that excuse really works right now for James Harden, because come postseason time, he will have a lot of rest on his body, so maybe his game will be able to translate in a better way than it has in the past. But now that we have discussed what this team is capable of, do I think that the Rockets have a legitimate shot to win an NBA championship? Yes, I honestly do. But do I think they will? No, I do not think this team will win an NBA championship. Forget the fact that James Harden and Russell Westbrook have their own fair share of playoff failures that go back as far as when they were teammates together, but the biggest problem that I have is Mike D'Antoni. Mike D'Antoni has proven time after time that he is not willing to make adjustments when the situation calls for it. Of course, the Golden State Warriors are the big obstacle for him to face over the past couple of years, but we've not only seen this happen now, but we've seen this happen in the past. He has had great teams time after time after time with the Phoenix Suns, and now he's in Houston with James Harden. And whether it's Greg Popovich or Steve Kerr, they have been able to beat him due to the fact that he is unwilling to make adjustments when his go-to is not working. And that has been the consistent criticism of Mike D'Antoni. He plays one way and doesn't change his style whatsoever. Whether he's facing the San Antonio Spurs with the Phoenix Suns and Steve Nash, or his team is going to miss 27 straight 3-pointers in a row against the Golden State Warriors in Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals, no matter what the scenario is, you can always trust D'Antoni to do the same thing time after time after time. But after all the negative that I just said, I'm actually pulling for Houston to win this series because I don't want to see a guy like James Harden and Russell Westbrook, who have had fantastic careers, not be able to capture a championship. I like those guys. I like Harden. I don't think he gets enough respect, and as critical as I've been about Russell Westbrook, I would like to see him at least get a championship to add onto his resume, because it's really the only thing missing to give him one of the better careers in NBA history, which he already has, but I'm just talking to move him into that upper echelon. But that concludes this video, you guys. Do not forget to drop a like down below so I can keep making fire content just like this. Comment your opinions. I would love to know what you guys think about the Houston Rockets.
Do you guys think that they are legitimate contenders to win an NBA championship this year? And if you enjoy what you see from this channel, do not forget to hit that subscribe button. Also hit that bell for post notifications. This is your boy Young Mustard signing out. Stay safe, wash your hands, and please wear a mask. I'm out. Peace.